win. All right, back to the NFL. It's time for some quick reads with Dan O. The ceiling for a potential Aaron Rodgers, Mike McCarthy reunion.
Yeah, good football team. I do not believe it's a championship football team. I think Aaron's going to play there, but the reality is for Pittsburgh, this is the most critical draft you've had in probably 2 decades. You were the second oldest roster in football last year. You have 5 picks in the top 100. You haven't had that many since 1999. I do think this is going to be a good football team, but reality is the draft is equally, if not more important than the decision at quarterback.
Mike T, what do you think? Steelers, are they making a mistake waiting on Rodgers again?
They have to move on. I would go with Will Howard, last year's 6th-round pick. Try side a veteran like Kirk Cousins, and then at 21, maybe Ty Simpson is there. Aaron Rodgers is an all-time great first ballot Hall of Famer, but if you look last year, he was 24th in the league in yards per attempt and 28th in air yards per attempt. So, Brian, that tells us that he's struggling getting the ball down the field, and when you're going to be 43 in December, that's not going to get better.
Raj, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, to the age question, this is a player that's been able to stay healthy the last 2 years. Can he continue to do that in his, age 42, age 43 season? That's one of the big questions. You have to make sure you're protected in case your older quarterback can't stay healthy. But to the point about the ceiling that you started with, Dano, with they're not going to, we saw last year, they were a 10-win team that lost in the first round. That's probably what the Steelers are if they bring back Aaron Rodgers, which at this point I expect them to do. Whatever happens at quarterback for the Steelers this year, they need to address it in a significant and meaningful way for the long term, or else they will be stuck in this cycle that they're in of good, not great team, or potentially even get worse.
How about this? Falcons head coach Kevin Stefanski said yesterday that he expects a quarterback competition there in Atlanta. Said he learned from what happened in Cleveland, maybe 50-50. Dano, who do you think gets more starts? Is it Tua or Michael Penix Jr.?
Yeah, I think it's Tua. I think Tua is going to be the starting quarterback for this team to start the season, mainly because of Michael Penix still recovering. I also think Tua is a good player. And in this offense that's got a very good offensive line and plenty of firepower on offense, good quarterback play makes you a good offense and a contending football team in the NFC South in Atlanta. I also think that they're a team you could justify drafting a quarterback maybe in that 2nd or 3rd round because you have no idea the health of either of these quarterbacks long-term this season.
Mike T, you agree?
Yeah, to Dano's point about health, unfortunately, Michael Penix had multiple season-ending injuries at Indiana, at Washington, 2 ACLs, just tore another ACL, and unfortunately, it's hard to rely on a player as talented as he is, given that track record. So I think Tua has a chance to play and play well this year, and I agree, they should be scouring and looking for the next young quarterback that Ian Cunningham, Matt Ryan, and Kevin Stefanski can develop.
Grog, what are you hearing, though, about how the Falcons view Tua?
Yeah, a new GM, new new coach, new front office. Obviously, there's no loyalty to Michael Penix. The organization did spend a top 10 pick on him a couple of years ago. So I think potentially from an ownership level, there's at least some desire to see if Penix can still be that guy. So I think they go into the offseason, the Falcons do, feeling like Penix is probably the starter when he's healthy, but he's also not. And so that offers Tua Tagovailoa a significant opportunity here as we go through the offseason to show what he can do and certainly work his way into that conversation. There is a world, obviously, in which Tua dazzles in the offseason, and by the time Penix is healthy, again, they have a difficult decision to make.
Okay, Dano, how good of a fit do you think Kyler Murray is for this Vikings offense?
I think Kyler Murray makes sense in Minnesota. I think the reality for Minnesota with Kevin O'Connell and Kyler Murray is you're taking a very unique player and trying to fit him into a very specific scheme. Kyler is this dynamic athlete and very good thrower of the football. Has had moments when I think he's played MVP style of quarterback. But that's not necessarily the type of player that we've seen, at least right now, thrive in these offenses. If we look at this Shanahan-McVay system in these quarterbacks that are really, right now, playing at a high level, they're not dynamic athletes. These quarterbacks, Stroud, Stafford, Purdy, Love, Darnold, Jimmy G, Kirk Cousins, Goff, Mayfield, in the past couple of years, they're really good quarterbacks. They're not dynamic athletes. Kyler's a dynamic athlete, and you're trying to take that really unique player and fit it into a very specific style of system. Minnesota under Kevin O'Connell is top 5 when it comes to putting the quarterback under center usage-wise, and going play-action pass usage-wise. Kyler Murray did it about 3 times a game in Arizona. I'm not telling everybody that Kyler can't.
Yeah. Right.
It's just we don't have the example that Kyler has.
He's got the skill set. Kevin O'Connell addressed Kyler Murray in his fit in Minnesota. Take a listen.
You know, I see a lot of ways that we'll be able to continue the evolution and evolve our offense here in year 5, but at the same time, principles that I believe Kyler will, be able to, not only make his own, but, provide, different layers to what we do with some of his experiences.
Okay, Mike T, listening to that, do you believe Kyler Murray will have, let's say, a resurgence there in Minnesota?
Brian, very much so. I'm very bullish on this situation, and I see it different than Dan O, and here's why. I know Kevin O'Connell well. He played for us at the Jets. Look, he has very fun modify this offense to do what Kyler Murray does great, which is a world-class athlete. And then additionally, I think for the first time, Kyler Murray is feeling his athletic mortality. And to me, I think whatever he has, we'll get the best of him this year.
All right, Gross, so what are you hearing there in Minnesota? What they're playing then for Kyler Murray?
Yeah, I mean, look, they signed Kyler Murray. They bring back Carson Wentz. They still, believe J.J. McCarthy has something in him. The Vikings don't want to get caught short at the position. Kevin O'Connell would tell you, and he said at his availability yesterday, since he's been there, when they've had reliable quarterback play, they've won a lot of games. So they're trying to insulate themselves against a situation like last year where they didn't have coverage. Kyler likely goes in as the starter, and they do feel like they can get him to a point where he can be productive in that offense. It's going to be a process through the offseason, as it was 2 years ago when they brought in Sam Darnold and got him up to speed in time to be a starter and have success in that system. So I think we'll monitor this as it goes through the offseason. And if Kyler does what they think he can do and expect him to do, I think they'll be excited to run him out there when the season starts.
And it's all about getting Jefferson the football.
And I think that Kevin O'Connell actually made a really interesting point football-wise about it, saying teams really aren't going to be able to double-team a Justin Jefferson, mainly because of Kyler's athleticism and playmaking. You got to be a little bit worried about, are we going to take 2 bodies, pay attention to Justin, and not have that extra person for Kyler Murray? Football perspective-wise, I did find that very interesting. Like, okay, the dynamic athlete, it can maybe elevate the offense in certain areas.
Yeah, we'll see what happens there. All right, coming up, the MVP race heating up. Can Wemby overtake SGA? We'll show the statement both players made last night when Get Up rolls on.